Hello, and welcome to another SkaredCast Battle Report. Today, Angels of Death, 1500 points, Space Marine mission versus the Dark Eldar and Harlequins. We have the Mentor Legion, with Jeff at the helm, facing off against the Dark Eldar. So, in this mission, I have to deploy in the center, and the Space Marines will be coming at me from all sides, ready to destroy the command structure of the Dark Eldar force. Join the community today by supporting over on Patreon, as well as liking the Facebook page and visiting other social media like Instagram, Twitter. Check the links down below. Okay, welcome. It's 1500 points. You can check the links down below. Thanks a lot for tuning in. This is going to be another fun SkaredCast Battle Report. It is the end of 2016. Thanks a lot for staying tuned for the entire year. So we have a fun one for you. Jeff has brought his Mentor Legion Space Marines. If you haven't already, check the link to his army showcase video. It's a gorgeous looking force. He's got 1500 points of the army. The way this mission works, I have to deploy my whole army. I only have 2 flyers in reserve because they have to be in reserve. But each unit has to be 6 inches away from another unit. And then the Space Marines get first turn, and they can come on from any table edge, which means that he's able to focus on what he wants to kill when he comes on the board. The game is essentially a kill points mission. For each troop unit worth 1 point, and each unit from any other force organization chart as 2 points. And every HQ selection that he eliminates will be worth an additional 3 points, which means that my succubus is worth 3 points, and then I've got 1 point here, 1 point over there, 1 point with these witches. I've got 1 point here for the troop, and then this is a cast of players, so I've got 2 points for the Death Juster and 2 points for the Shabsier, so there's 5 points in that unit there. I've got 2 points worth in the Beast Pack unit, and 2 points worth in the 4 Reaver jet bikes that are hiding in that cathedral. We have 2 points for each of the flyers. I've got a Void Raven bomber and a Razorwing jet fighter. So, in Jeff's army, we have 2
Storm Talons.
That's right, with
Twin-linked assault cannons and Skyhammer missiles.
very cool.
3 Razorbacks, 2 with Las Plaz, 1 with twin assault cannon, 3 5-man squads, each with flamer, a Vindicator, a Predator Executioner with heavy bolter sponsons, plasma destroyer, drop pod, assault cannon dreadnought with a heavy flamer, 6-man Timber squad with a cyclone launcher, and a Space Marine chapter Praetor.
Very cool. He's the cool close combat-y one, correct?
Yes, very
awesome.
Close combat-y.
Yeah, he gets good in duels, so it's going to be fun against my succubus if that ever does happen. Although the Warlord is the troop master, so he rolled a cool one in the challenge. If he dies, we roll off and he might kill his opponent, which can be fun. That's going to be entertaining. Okay, so I do not get the chance to seize. As the Dark Eldar are raiding this Imperial compound, the Space Marines strike with sudden force. We've added an extra little mission. We have a character that has some gene seed. I just painted him up for this scenario. He is going to be like a relic, and he's going to be worth D3 points at the end of the game as he gets out of the crashed killer lander. So the Space Marines have to try and kill the enemy, try and capture him in order to deny some points as well. Have a great game, sir.
Good luck.
Thank you. You too. And let's get on with Space Marine turn 1. Space Marine turn 1. The Space Marines have entered the fray as Angels of Death. We had this entire flank fire at the Mandrakes, did kill them eventually, even with their stealth enshrouded, and put 1 wound on the Succubus, who was forced to go to ground after the super Wrath of the Emperor bolter put 5 wounds on her. No damage was done to the giant Kabalite warrior unit in the center ruin, and 2 witches died as the Vindicator performed a outflanking maneuver on the far flank near the asset of the Space Marines. The Reaver jet bikes are all the way over here. They're hearing the tone of bolter shells firing against their friends, or not so friends. Meanwhile, Plasma Tank opened up into the beast pack, killing quite a few beasts, and most importantly, killing the Beastmaster, which sent the beasts into disarray, which means they are now falling back. In the meantime, this Kabalite warrior unit has 1 member left, the sergeant, and he has passed his morale test in the face of so many bolters firing at him. All in all, the Space Marines get first blood and 2 points for the Mandrakes, with a potential extra 2 points if the beasts do not rally. We're moving on to Dark Eldar turn 1 here, as the battle is joined, and let's see what happens after this. The lone Kabalite Saberite jumped out, put a hull point on the drop pod with his haywire grenade. The Succubus is just still there. She's not doing anything right now. This entire unit of Kabalite warriors killed 2 Marines with all their poison shots. They did not fail their morale test. And the Reaver jet bikes failed a 12-inch charge to try and get into that plasma tank, while the Harlequins on this flank walked in, blew up the Vindicator, or wrecked it, and the Witches have ran closer to the objective here, and they're just hunkering down. Now we've got 2 reserves to arrive, both Storm Talons on a 3+.
Oh, go figure.
Bounced off the table. The first one is not in. The second one is in. Okay. On to the second turn. Right now we have 2 points for the Dark Eldar and 3 points for the Space Marine. No, 5 points for the Space Marines. Because the Beast Pack did run off the board. They did not rally. They were Leadership 5. Which means I need to build and paint another Beastmaster. So that I can have better control over my animals. Okay, on to the next turn. The Space Marines brought in their reserves. Shooting forced the Jinking jet bikes to take two casualties. They did pass almost every cover save they were required to make. The large 20-man blob lost 5 members and failed their morale test, so they are currently falling back, which is not good. The Succubus died, and so did the Kabalite warrior with his haywire grenade, while on this flank nothing really happened at all. So we're moving on to the Dark Eldar turn 2. Will the Void Raven Bomber arrive? It does. Will the Razorwing arrive? It does not. It's waiting for the other Storm Talon. We're moving on to the next turn. 2. We had the Void Raven Bomber fly in, miss the Talon, and only kill 1 Marine with his bomb. Tried to, and put a hull point on that Razorback. Stopped it from moving or shooting. We had these guys move and run with the Relic, and move with the Relic, and the Harlequins moved and ran out here. And then we had these guys rally and snap shoot at the Storm Talon for no effect, while the Reaver jet bikes in the back charged in, put 2 hull points with their cluster caltrops on the big tank, but failed to kill it. So now we're moving on to Space Marine turn 3. The Talon went off the board, ready to come in with his buddy that didn't come on next turn. We had this entire blob move up. Shooting, killed a couple of witches, or no witches at all. Killed a couple of the Kabalite warriors. There's only 7 left out of the unit of 20. And they're still alive. The heavy bolters from the tank killed the 2 jet bikes that were left. And now we're moving on to Dark Eldar turn 3. Does the Razorwing jet fighter arrive from reserve? It does not. It is waiting for the Storm Talons to arrive as well. Moving on to the next turn. The Witches and the Harlequins have moved forward to try to get to the center of the table and be a part of the game, while the Void Raven Bomber did kill the Plasma Tank, and the remnants of the squad of Kabalite Warriors killed the 3-man unit of Space Marines. And the Razorwing failed to come on, so now it's the Space Marines turn 4, and both flyers are coming onto the table. 4. The Storm Talons arrived, forced the flyer into jinking, and it took 2 hull points and it's velocity locked, but it is alive. The the Space Marines jumped into their tanks, afraid of the poison. Shooting killed 5 of the Kabalites, 4 of the Kabalites. We still have 3 left alive. Whereas the Terminators, the Dreadnought, and this Razorback have fired into the Witches, killing a few, and they passed them around. So they are still alive as well. We're moving on to turn 4. The Razorwing will arrive. Let's see what happens on this turn 4 with the game. The Dark Eldar forces saw the Razorwing come in, unload 4 blasts against the back of these the Razorbacks, and kill both Razorbacks. Yay, Razorwing. The Space Marines are fine. They passed every armor save from the Splinter Cannon's firepower, and they have a flamer too, so that's going to be fun. The Witches have tried to hide behind this wall here, but the Hecatrix is definitely in the open. I did kill 1 Terminator with some shooting, and my Shadowseer killed himself with the perils of the warp. So, so that's 2 points to the Dark Eldar, but he does get 2 points for that elite unit as well, because it's an independent character. And we're moving on to turn 4, turn 5. Could be the end of the game. Let's see what happens as the Space Marines try and solidify their victory. A lot of shots into the Spectres unit, which means they're shrouded, which means they're very hard to dislodge. Did kill quite a few, but they had to go to ground to try and save the Warlord against the assault cannons. They failed. They lost about 3 of their number and a wound on the Death Jester. The Kabalite Warrior unit has taken a casualty from some Space Marines, and the Razorwing forced to jink has taken a hull point. So this could go on to turn 7. Right now, we've got the Void Raven coming in. Let's see what happens as we move on to the next turn. So, Razorwing, with his crazy snapshots, did not kill the drop pod. I got the Witches to charge that unit of Tactical Marines. They killed 2 Marines, and the Witches are still alive. The Void Raven did knock the 1 Razorwing out of the sky. Storm Talon out of the sky. And these guys did nothing. So right now, as it stands, the Space Marines have 13 points. The Dark Eldar have 9 points. It might end. Let's see if the game continues. And the game is over for a Space Marine victory. Even having controlled this guy here for D3 and rolling a 3, it would have been a 1-point victory for the Space Marines. Very tight game towards the end. And very fun scenario. Thanks a lot for staying tuned. There will be a little tactical corner. It's always really fun to play crazy random scenarios. This one, of course, favors the Space Marines as they jump in on the enemy. But last one we played was Bunker Assault, which was hard for the defenders to win, even though the Space Marines did win that one as well. Just barely by the skin of their teeth. Well, check the links down below for all the other information. Thanks a lot for staying tuned. There is an 8,000 subscriber giveaway contest if you're a subscriber to the channel. Go and find that video that's going to be up as well. And thanks a lot to Jeff for coming by for a game.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely. It's always nice to have beautifully painted models playing on a beautifully painted table. The Space Marines take the victory this time, but the Dark Eldar will be back and in greater numbers. Go watch...
Bring some boys.
Yeah, go watch Rogue One. Hello and welcome to another Tactical Corner. So I played against another Mentor's Space Marine army, and this mission was quite difficult for the defenders. It's a Space Marine mission. It's an Ultra War mission in the Angels of Death book, and it features the Space Marines doing a surprise attack on an unsuspecting enemy, which means that the defending forces have to be in the middle, separated from the rest of the army, when the Space Marines get to essentially really focus their entire strength on one section of the battlefield. This was a great opportunity for me to run a lot of troops. I brought some witches, I brought the beast pack, I got some jet bikes. I really just wanted to showcase the variety in the army. And the Space Marines attacked the flank with my HQ. It was a pseudo kill point style mission, so killing non-troop or dedicated transport units and HQ units provided most of the kill points. So therefore, he focused on my succubus and the mandrakes, as well as essentially doing the right thing and putting his entire army on one side of the battlefield. This meant that the rest of my army was horribly out of position and essentially spent the entire game trying to get back into position in order to be a part of the game, namely the witches and the harlequins. That the witches ended up getting into combat, but it was really the harlequins that didn't really do much in the game whatsoever, and there was quite a few points in the harlequin unit. We did kill the Vindicator on one flank, but essentially spent the whole game kind of moving and running and even giving up points as the Shadow Seer ended up killing himself. Now, there was a little twist. We added a relic objective that was the pilot for the crashed killer. So I painted him up specifically for this scenario, and it was kind of cool. It added a little bit of change to the game. Now, the MVPs for the game were, of course, the Reaver jet bikes, soaking up a lot of firepower. You know, more and more I use them, the more and more I love them. And my opponents are starting to really fear the strength of the Reaver jet bike. Now, I was unable to really do much to the flank with the Dreadnought and the Terminators, and I really focused on the squishier units, namely the tactical units in the Razorbacks on the other flank, with not only my Void Raven Bomber, but later my Razorwing. Talking about Void Raven Bombers, I found I use them every once in a while, and I really like the bomb, but namely the Lancers. It's a very expensive Ravager is what it is with the Lancers, and even then he sometimes misses just horribly. All in all, the game turned into a cat and mouse game towards the end of the game, with me trying to get as many points as physically possible. I had gotten myself into a good position controlling the relic objective, and I had a glimmer of hope when the Razorwing came in and destroyed both of the Razorbacks on the far flank with a volley of his missiles. But essentially, the cornerstone of the Space Marine army was very hard to dislodge, and they were just raking up the points. All in all, it was a slight loss to the Dark Eldar forces, but it was definitely a very fun scenario. I always recommend that you play things that are not run-of-the-mill with your gaming group and your friends, and this will add a little bit more variety to your game. Of course, nothing like playing a fully painted game on a fully painted table. As always, support on Patreon and stay tuned for the next video. Hope you're having a great end of 2016. Skari out.